The Mariners shut out the Diamondbacks to win their third consecutive series with a little under 48 hours to go until the trade deadline. Let's talk about it here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Sunday, July 30th, 2023. This is Teddy Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you so much for making us your first listen after the game. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. 4-0 the final score from Chase Field. Mariners take 2 of 3 from the Diamondbacks. Big start for Luis Castillo today. 7 strikeouts, just 2 hits over 6 scoreless innings. Colby, break it down for us. What did you see out of Castillo this afternoon?
Two different guys, really. The first 3 innings, he really let the pitch count kind of get away from him. He was up to 60 pitches through 3. And then over the next 3, he threw 42 pitches. And really, even when he was struggling, Arizona really never had a shot. They only got 3 hits today total. They only had 3 hard hit balls, only one of them against Castillo. And it was kind of a throwback Castillo today. It was the 4-seamer and the slider were his go-to pitches today. 10 whiffs on 27 swings on the 4-seamer. That's a good number for a 4-seam fastball. And then he also added 5 whiffs on 14 swings on the slider. But here's kind of the underrated, undervalued part of his performance today. 10 called strikes on the slider. So not only was he able to expand the zone with it, he was able to throw it in the strike zone and get value out of that. So the slider was never hit hard. The hardest exit velo off the slider today was 81.6. The average was 72.8. Just threw the slider pretty much at will. 48% called strike plus whiff on it. It was a throwback, and this is the second outing in a row that we've seen Castillo have his good slider. Now, he got away with some pitches early in the game. There were some that were in the middle of the plate that, Arizona just wasn't very aggressive with. And so I'm not going to sit here and say this was his best outing or anything like that, but he was really effective today, basically with the fastball slider combo. Through 16 sinkers, 2-seamers, didn't get a strike call on any of them. Only 3 called strikes on that pitch. So didn't really have the 2-seamer today. Didn't wait to try and find it. He just go after guys with the fastball and the slider. It was a really nice performance from Luis, and it's 2 in a row now. And you certainly need him to continue to stack these performances. But it does seem like he's really found the slider over his last couple outings, and he's being really aggressive with it. So that's good to see.
Really nice road trip for Luis Castillo. We've talked about all the home runs he's given up this year, but big number here, no home runs allowed over his last 2 starts. So hopefully he keeps that going. And today he was able to get his ERA under 3. Now it's at 2.88. So on the flip side here, the Mariners offense did what they've done, or did what they did yesterday as well. Where they scored 3 early and then mostly clocked out for the rest of the day. They were able to add an insurance run, thankfully, in the top of the 9th, but that was it from the Mariners offense. But a big day for J.P. Crawford. Got on base 4 times today, a double, which led to that insurance run, and a solo home run, which gave the Mariners their 3rd run of the game. So overall thoughts on the offense just in this series and this game today, all that?
Pretty inconsistent. It's unfortunate. The offense is probably the biggest reason why you don't sweep this series. Yes, the Mariners had bullpen issues. I mean, really just one guy yesterday. But so many opportunities. They created so much traffic, and they just needed 1 or 2 more hits to walk away with a sweep and how drastically things change. But they didn't get it done. I mean, the run total outputs are fine for the most part. But they need to be a little bit better. It was a so-so, it was an overall series for the offense, but hey, Tom Murphy continued to hit.
Yep.
JP is certainly, I mean, at this stage, he's having a career year. We keep on waiting for the other shoe to drop with him. It's probably not. This is probably what he's going to do for most of the year. Julio continues to get on base. Yes, the bad strikeout last night, of course. But overall, he looks like he's in a little bit better place.
What's he on right now? Like a 25 game on base streak or
streak,
something like that. 24 games maybe. Yeah.
Strikeout rate is getting dangerously close to just 25%, which would be, really nice. So you just figure out how to get that hit every once in a while with the game on the line, and Julio's, back to what we think he is. And so, but it was, it was an up and down performance, but you're starting to get, JP continues to be really good. Julio is certainly better than he was in April and May. And, you're getting contributions from guys like, I know Kade Marlow had an 0 for today, but he has put up some really impressive at-bats, including last night against Chafin with the triple in the ninth. That's a really tough lefty. And Marlow, didn't have Dylan Moore to bail him out, and he did that. It was I would say it was kind of a mediocre weekend for the offense. They had a couple big innings that kind of propelled them to their wins. But aside from that, just a whole lot of zeros, a whole lot of non-competitive at bats. So again, they need help. They need to lengthen this lineup.
Yeah. They started out every single game really hot, and it seemed like, they're going to score 10 plus today, and then just kind of fizzled out each time. But still some good things, some things to hang your hat on here. And again, they need help, right? So let's talk about that. We are now a little under 48 hours removed or away from the trade deadline. So the Mariners haven't really done anything yet. They've won 2 of 3. They're in a pretty good spot standing wise. We're going to talk all about that in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting on MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets. That's up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting on everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you can get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/LOCKEDON. That's locked on. FanDuel, official partner of Major League Baseball. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 4-0 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks this afternoon. We're back home tomorrow for a very quick homestand, a 3-game homestand. They're going to be facing the Boston Red Sox. You can catch all the action on the Mariners' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. That is the last Mariners game before the trade deadline. 1 game to go until we know pretty much what the roster is going to look like for the rest of the year. So far, it's been quiet, Colby. Very quiet. Maybe a little too quiet. Now the Mariners have won 2 of 3 against the Diamondbacks. They're pretty much in the same spot that they were when they entered this series standings-wise. However, in the division, Rangers just got swept by the San Diego Padres. And the Mariners ended up picking up 2 games on them. They're now just 5.5 games back of first place in the American League West. That's the closest they've been to first place since May 28th. And the Rangers obviously been busy at the deadline. They added Max Scherzer. They just added Jordan Montgomery today, but they've also lost Nathan Eovaldi to a forearm strain. Jonah Heim's banged up right now. Corey Seager's banged up right now. The Rangers are not in a great spot at the moment. There's an opportunity here, man, for the Mariners, but they do have to get better. So what are just your overall thoughts right now, again, as we sit 46 hours away from the trade deadline?
Yeah, you're within 4.5 games of 2 playoff spots, and you're within 5.5 of a third. Let's see, what's the nice way to put this? Do something or face my wrath. How about that? Because sitting here and just sitting on your hands and be like, oh, well, we didn't like the price. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. It's an excuse. It's not acceptable. on any level whatsoever. You say, well, we didn't want to pay so-and-so for Mark Canha. Liar. I don't care. Well, I don't care if you wanted to pay that or not. That's what it costs. And that's what we're asking for here. We're asking for Mark Canha and Randall freaking Grichuk. Okay. That's what we're asking for. We're not asking for Juan Soto. We're not asking for Gleyber Torres. We're asking for 2 league average bats. Don't tell me you can't afford that, because I just saw what Carlos Santana went for. That's nothing. Oh no, we have to give up Jonathan Clase for 1.5 years of Mark Canha. Then do it. What are you doing? Do it. Yeah. Don't tell me you can't replace. Do it. Don't tell me you can't replace Michael Morales in 6 months. Michael Morales isn't even sniffing the big leagues for 3 years. You can replace Michael Morales. You can replace Alberto Rodriguez. You can replace Axel Sanchez. Stop using that as an excuse. It is not an excuse. It feels, and maybe I'm wrong, but it sure does feel like this, like the Mariners front office was begging for this team to give them a reason to sell the last week. They didn't. They did their job. You do yours. Go help them. It does not freaking matter what the Modesto Nuts, how they're going to cover their innings for the rest of this year. It does not matter. Again, we're not asking you to go make another Luis Castillo trade, because you're not in as good of a spot this year as you were last year. Totally get that. And by the way, the market, fewer sellers this year than even last year. Totally get that. Totally understand it. I'm not asking you to go trade Logan Gilbert to get Juan Soto. I'm not asking you to give up Harry Ford for a rental. I am asking you to go look at the dozens of league average bats that can help this lineup and go get 2 of them. And if that cost you Michael Morales and Alberto Rodriguez and Axel Sanchez and, Tyler Locklear, I don't care. Those guys are replaceable. You are within reaching distance. You're within shouting distance of 3 playoff spots, and you're playing better right now in this month than anybody in the American League. Go get it done. It is not acceptable for this front office to sit here and be like, oh, well, we did trade Teoscar Hernandez. Did you replace him? No, then I don't care. Don't tell me about the prospects you got for Teoscar Hernandez. Don't tell me about the middle reliever you got for Teoscar Hernandez if you're not going to replace him. If you want to do these sideways deals, if you want to shop Ty France and Paul Seawald and Teoscar Hernandez, fine. There's maybe a good opportunity. This is a really extreme seller's market. Fine, explore that. Replace them before you tell me to get excited about what you got for them, because I'm not going to be. You have 3 playoff spots that are available to you right now. 3. And you could be in position to win any of them. You could be hold that position heading into September without doing more than picking up a game a week over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Do it. This is asinine. This idea, the reports that we're seeing that oh, well, now they're probably just going to stand pat. Unacceptable. Oh, well, now they're probably just going to trade Seawald. Unacceptable. It is not acceptable. Do something, or shut the hell up about how much you care about winning and how much, oh, we're in our window now and, oh, we're building around this great young core. Do it or shut up.
Yeah.
There's a different phrase I use on the Patreon show that I can't use here.
Patreon.com/control-the-zone.
Yeah, exactly. But if you guys listen to the Patreon, you know what I'm trying to say without saying it. So
F
I
is
don't
for
want
friends
to
who do stuff together.
Yeah. I don't want to sit here. I don't want to be sitting here on Tuesday and Jerry DiPoto go, oh, well, the prices just got out of hand and there really weren't that many bad. Tough. That's tough. Sorry. I don't care. Do it. I don't care. You're not going to convince me that you couldn't possibly get Mark freaking Canha because the Mets were like, oh, well, we have to have Felton Celestin. Get out of here. You're not going to sell me on that. You're delusional. If you think, how insulting to Mariner fans' intelligence is it for Jerry DiPoto to sit here on Tuesday and be like, oh, well, we just couldn't really find anybody that one. BS. They're out there. Go do it. What are you waiting for?
Only you could get this pissed off over a complete hypothetical that you built in your head.
Just wait until they don't do something when we get on here on Tuesday.
Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. And
get the Dolphin sound effects ready, because I don't know if I'll be able to do a show uncensored if they sit on their hands and don't do anything over the next 48 hours. Shame on you, Jerry DiPoto.
I know you would love to create more work for me. I'm gonna hold judgment until the actual deadline passes and we'll see. But yeah, if they don't do anything, Oh, I'm going to be right there with you, pal. Because I legitimately think you can win this division, right? Dana Brown, GM of the Houston Astros today, said, yeah, we're probably not going to add a starting pitcher. We might add another bullpen arm, but that's about it. Okay. You have a lot more needs than that. You telling me the Rangers are going to run away with this division after adding current day Max Scherzer and Jordan Montgomery after losing their best starting pitcher, one of the best starting pitchers in baseball this year?
They added 2 number 4s. Oh, and they still don't have a better rotation than you.
Yeah. So I don't buy it. I think you can legitimately win this division right now. Yeah, you're 5.5 back, but look at the end of the schedule. You have like 10 games against the Astros and the Rangers. You can absolutely win this division without getting much help outside of you.
Yep.
Just keep on playing your ball right now, because again, since June 1st, this Mariners team has pretty much been right in line with what the Astros have done, with what the Rangers have done. I think they all have the same winning percentage since June 1st, or right there, right around in that same ballpark. You can win this division. Both of these teams ahead of you are super, super weak in some key areas. And it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to fill, especially Houston. It doesn't seem like they're capable or willing to fill out the rest of their needs. So if Houston's more or less going to stand pat, if the Rangers' big deals are this, I'm not scared by that. Frankly, I'm not.
No,
I'm not. Obviously, you're super weak too. And this team right now, as it currently stands, they're not winning the division. But this team with a Mark Canha, with a Randall Grichuk, just a couple of guys that can hit for 100 WRC plus for the next 2 months. If you can just add that to your lineup, you're going to be infinitely better.
Patch some holes. That's all we're asking you to do. And at the end of the day, yes, you still need Julio Rodriguez to step up. You still need Teoscar Hernandez to step up. You still need Cal Raleigh. You still need Ty France. But you
still need the pitching to be as good as
it
is. Yeah.
But you have to help them, because if they can't turn it around like that, you have to raise the floor until they can figure that out. And now,
the answer isn't, hey, we're seeing some nice things out of Colton Wong, so we're just going to stick with Colton Wong at second.
Colton Wong still has like a 40 WRC plus this year.
Yeah.
You can't see
even over his hot stretch lately, he's running like a 60 WRC plus at best. I think last time I checked it was like 52 over his last 2 weeks or something like that.
Don't tell me that Jose Caballero is the answer there. Don't tell me that Dylan Moore is the answer there. Dylan Moore's hurt again, by the way. Don't tell me that, we look at Jared Kelenic as an acquisition. You can't. He was there for the entire time, and you're still in the same spot. That is not an acceptable answer. And for everybody out there who says, the Mariners, they'd have to get so lucky to get back into this thing. They need so many teams to collapse in front of them. The Seattle Mariners have picked up 4.5 games on the Texas Rangers this month alone. They have 2 months left to pick up the other 5.5. They picked up a game and a half on Houston, who's been really good. Houston's played good ball recently. They've still picked up a game and a half on them. They picked up 3.5 on the Angels just in the month of July alone. It's not acceptable on any level. Don't tell me on Twitter, they're only 3 games over 500. Don't tell me in the comments section like, you probably have to trade Paul Seawald and Teoscar Hernandez because it's a seller's market. I do not care. I'm tired of pretending that this team can't make the playoffs, or they need some miraculous 10-game winning streak to make the playoffs. No, they do not. They have 3 playoff spots that they can get into within a week. A week, they can get back into this thing. And they're already getting back in. They're 16-9 this month. They were 17-10, by the way, in May. So if not for the bad June, they are one of the better teams in the American League. They have one of the better rosters in the American League. They're playing like one of the best teams in the American League. They've won or split 4 straight series against playoff teams. So basically, you kick out that series against Detroit that you lost that you shouldn't have. You've run the tape. You've won every series this month. This team has done everything, absolutely everything, to show this front office we are worth investing in, even though you are the reason why we don't have the depth that we need to roll off that 10-game winning streak. Look how close they are to reeling off a 10-game winning streak. If Andres Munoz does his job twice in the last 10 games, the Mariners have won 8 in a row. If you don't bunt with your best hitter at the plate, if Julio gets one extra hit in the right spot, you have won 10 games in a row against 3 really good teams.
Yeah.
That's your fault that you didn't think that we needed to protect ourselves from 35-year-old AJ Pollock, that we didn't need more depth just in case Dylan Moore didn't get back in time. That is your fault. You put up the barricades that are stopping this Mariners team from running off that long win streak. And now you're going to sit there and look them in the face and tell them, oh, you guys just didn't do enough for us to believe in you. Screw you, Jerry. Screw you. Do something. All right, do something, and I'll get on here tomorrow or Tuesday. I'll be like, okay, good job, Jerry. Nicely done. But this back and forth that I know you're already starting to spin. I know the front office is already starting to weave this just in case we can't get anything done. Well, the team really didn't do much to help us believe in them. Yes, they did. You wanted to sell. You looked at this market and said, oh boy, I mean, we were never going to get another shot like this. We should sell, sell, sell. I hope this team loses this weekend. It would be nice if they got swept. They didn't. Sorry, you lost. You lost, and the reason this team isn't in a better position is because of you. So now you go fix it or shut the hell up. Don't spin me on this idea that like, oh, we're going to get Kelenic back. It's going to be great. We're going to call up Emerson Hancock. That's our starting pitching. We're going to go 6-man. Don't sell me on that because I'm not an idiot, and nobody listening to this should be an idiot either. Don't believe it when they tell you we just couldn't afford to do a couple of things. Yes, they can. If they don't, it is because they chose not to. And if they chose not to, that's a discussion we can have. But don't you dare get on 710 on Thursday and tell me like, oh, we wanted to do stuff, but the market just went BS. Don't tell me that. Tell me the truth or shut the hell up. Those are your options actually the best option is to do something over the next 48 hours. But if you don't, those are your options. Tell me the truth or shut the hell up. That's it. One or the other. Either the truth, by the way, is that we didn't want to add to this team because we looked at the market and said, wow, this is a better opportunity to sell. And we don't want to miss it. Fine. Tell me that. I'll call you an idiot, but fine. At least I'll respect you. Don't lie to me and tell me that you couldn't get something done because that is 100% grade A BS. Do not believe it. Do not help the Mariners spin it. Make them do something. Hold them accountable because this team, this 26-man roster, with all of its flaws, has earned that right. Do it or get the hell out of the way. One or the other. I'm so tired. Like, oh, well, boys, teams are going to be really mad. The fans are going to be really mad at Jerry if he doesn't do anything, completely ignoring how bad the market is. Yeah, rightfully so. It's your fault. Fix your fault. Fix what you did. Fix what you broke. And if you can't do that, then the very least you owe it to us to go out there and mea culpa. I screwed up. This is on me. I unfortunately didn't do a good enough job of building this team. So this is what we're doing. This is why we decided to sell. This is why we did this. And by the way, selling is better than doing nothing. I will be more furious if they do nothing than if they trade Teoscar Hernandez for a prospect. You need to pick a lane. Don't sit in the middle. You're not a team that can sit in the middle. You're not.
Nope.
I don't think any team can. But you have screwed up the last two player acquisition periods. You've done some good things, but you haven't gone far enough. 2 times in a row. And now you're setting yourself up to do it the 3rd time in a row. You're running out of chances, Jerry. You're running out of chances. You're putting a lot of pressure on you this winter if you don't get this done this summer. And again, all we're asking for, Mark Canha, Randall Grichuk. That's it. And that's going to cost you Michael Morales and Jonathan Clausen. You don't want to do that. Screw you. Don't sell me on that. Don't try to sell me on that. Back to you, Ty.
I think the Mariners need to do something. Don't you folks? You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen after an elite rant from Colby Padnode.
Is that an 80
off
grade?
Off of a complete hypothetical again, like hypothetical. But
I'm so tired,
you know what,
of it, man? Because I'm already
people are gonna love it. People are gonna love it. So
I'm already seeing Mariner fans like getting on Twitter and being like, "Oh well, I get they probably have to trade Seawald." Like they're already resigning themselves to the idea that like, oh well, they're not going to do anything, and I'm going to be okay with that. Why? Why are you accepting that? Anyways,
Yeah. The answer is no, though. We cannot talk about anything else because I want to talk about this. Trades are fun.
boy.
Trade deadline is fun,
Yep.
even though it's
Supposed to be.
pain.
Supposed to be.
It's
It could be.
right. It could be potentially a certain someone would do something, make something happen here. Yeah. All right. So we've heard from Bob Nightingale, which okay, it's Bob.
You can believe anything
so
Bob Nightingale says about the Seattle Mariners? Get out of here.
No, but we're just gonna mention this on the show real quick just to address it. Apparently, he's heard that the Mariners have made Paul Seawald, Teoscar Hernandez, and Ty France available in trade talks, and then he added that the Mariners, as of now, have said that they're not interested in trading prospects, which I assume that quote is a little bit what got you fired up heading into the show, even though it's a Bob Nightingale quote, so whatever. That's worth nothing, really.
No, I've been stewing on this for like the last 24 hours after I watched last night. Just like, oh yeah, sure, let's get to the bottom of the order, and oh man, look, Kade Marlow couldn't get that extra hit, and it's like, yeah, because he's a rookie. Why are you relying on that guy? Why isn't Mark Canha coming into the game right now? Like, I just the number of times runner on second, nobody out, and it's like, okay, we just need 2 good at bats in a row. You got one of them. Can you get 2 more in a row? Nope.
Yeah,
couldn't. And they lost the game because of it.
So right now, we don't even really know what bats like Mark Canha are going for, because we haven't really seen a bat like that get moved yet.
Right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, Santana, I guess. But that's
he's a 100 WRC plus guy.
He's a first base DH. There's a lot of variables there. So, yeah, I mean, the best bat outside of Santana that's gotten dealt is Ahmed Rosario, who's a strict platoon hitter with bad defense. So, yeah, we just don't really know, on that front. So a part of me is a little bit concerned by the fact that, because the Mariners are one of many teams looking for bats, looking to add bats at the deadline. And that's not to excuse them here. That's not how I'm setting this up. I'm just, look, no one's gone yet. We're less than 48 hours away. The market is going to get very, very crowded, and teams are going to get desperate. I mean, look at what the Rangers just spent to get a number 4 starting pitcher for 2 months.
It's pitching.
Yeah, and that's pitching, obviously, but what is the hitter market actually gonna look like, right? Because there's a certain cliff for me, obviously, right?
Sure.
Like I'm not trading Harry Ford for, Mark Canha, but that shouldn't be the cost. And if any team is trying to get any sort of value out of their pieces, like Mark Canha, like Randall Grichuk, they're going to come down on that ask eventually at some point, especially for rent, for guys on expiring contracts like Randall Grichuk. But yeah, we don't really know what that market is looking like. We have a really good idea of what the pitching market is looking like, but we just haven't seen any bats move yet. Any notable, really notable bats. We saw Nicky Lopez today. Great. Who cares? Which, by the way, he went for Taylor Hearn, who I'm pretty sure the Braves acquired for cash, and then the Braves flipped him a week later. What? What are the Royals? What? Okay. Anyway, the Royals really wanted Taylor Hearn. Why didn't you just pay the cash for Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
nobody's ever accused the Royals of being a fantastic organization.
Yeah, and this isn't a Royals podcast, so who cares? Whatever, they can suffer for eternity for all I care. But yeah, I just when is when is that shoe going to drop? That's really what I'm curious about. And to me, I think the Mariners should set the market. Personally, they did it last year with the Castillo trade. Obviously, that's on a much higher end, right? Sure. But same idea though. Just go get Mark Canha right now. As long as the Mets aren't being just ridiculous about it, or the Rockies aren't just being absolutely ridiculous with their ask for Randall Grichuk, right? Just make that trade now. If you have to pay $1.15 for $1, then whatever. cares?
You pay the tax like that. That's just the cost of doing business. And that tax is only going to get higher every single year too, because there's going to be fewer sellers. We know this. That's kind of the well, actually it is a consequence of the third wild card. But yeah, the trade deadline, there's going to be some fewer things that happen because more teams are going to be in it. Fine. I don't care. You get creative. I don't, if you're going to do you have to trade Justin Topa to get that bat? Okay, we can have a conversation. Do you have to trade Paul Sewald to get that bat? Again, we can have a conversation. But if you're telling me you're going to trade Paul Sewald for a AA prospect that you like, who might be ready middle of next year, bite me.
Yeah,
Don't come to me with that. Come to me with we had to trade Paul Sewald to go get this 120 WRC plus guy who's going to be here through next year too.
Yeah.
And he's really good against righties, not too good against lefty. Like, okay, fine. Yeah. Like we can talk about that. We can have that conversation.
Yeah. The only Seawall trade that I'm interested in is something that brings back a major league piece, and preferably a legit major league piece, not just, quad A guy who's got some interesting tools. Like, no, like I want a legit major league piece back for Paul Sewald if I'm trading him, because as we've seen with this bullpen could really use Paul Sewald the rest of the way. So, and if you do trade Sewald, you better have a secondary trade lined up for another reliever.
You got to replace him.
Yeah. So very similar idea with the, Kendall Graveman and turning around, getting Diego Castillo type of thing, right? Yep. You have to have something like that lined up if you're dealing Sewald.
Agreed. So quick side note though, because I just thought of this and I just get your reaction to it, and then we can get out of here because I don't want another 40-minute show. I could do another 20-minute rant, but
I know you can. You're probably underselling yourself. You're probably selling yourself short on that front.
What do you think? Is that better than the Castillo one? Let us know in the comments down below.
The Castillo one was legendary though. That one, it is. Yeah.
Say that put us on the map, or at least my ranting skills on the map.
Sure. Hey, by the way, happy 2-year anniversary to us. This was the 2 years ago
we signed the contract.
We signed our contract to join Locked On, but our official 2-year anniversary is August 9th, the 2-year anniversary of when we posted our first show on Locked On. So we're going to celebrate then, but did want to acknowledge that. Congratulations to us. Blah, 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 blah. Sure. Whatever.
We didn't get fired. That's,
yeah. Yay.
Which, considering this guy over here, it's a little surprising, but
maybe after Tuesday, depending on what Jerry DePoto does. So
that's very accurate. So, it was a good run. So let me just ask you this. Let me just throw this out. You tell me what you think. Paul Sewald for Lourdes Gurriel.
So it's so funny that you brought that up, because I thought about that too the other night.
Like you lose a year of club control, sure. And Gurriel's been struggling this month, but
like he's under 100 WRC plus for the year now, I think.
Is he?
Or last time I checked, he was at like a 98 WRC plus.
Yeah, I know he's been slumping pretty hard the last.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good enough piece for me to move off of Sewald.
Okay.
Plus, Gurriel's not a good defender. Like,
nope.
Yeah, I just. That's not good. Because again, Sewald is very important to the team.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's basically, would you trade Paul Sewald for another Teoscar Hernandez?
And with these prices on the pitching, especially the relievers right now, like that's not going to be a cheap venture. Yeah, like can you get better? That's one question. And if you do get better, what is that going to cost you?
Yep.
So so you have to be very careful here with the Sewald stuff.
Gurriel's been pretty bad for the last 2 months, but I think something like that I could be okay with. But
I still think the best thing here is Sewald to a team that has something that you don't, that a team that has the bat that you want desires, right? That was a very confusing way to word that, but
no, I got you.
Yeah.
So basically, I did come up with a few of these like 2 months ago, and I do think they work now. Again, would it be enough to get the deal done? I don't know, but maybe somebody like Harold Ramirez from the Rays, maybe somebody like Luke Raley from the Rays, maybe Brandon Lowe. Like the Rays could use some bullpen help. Maybe there's something there. But that's what I'm talking. Like if you trade Paul Sewald for Vidal Brujan, so help me God.
Yeah.
So help me God. I will go scorched earth on this podcast.
Yeah.
Go get a major leaguer, or you keep Paul Sewald and you just pay him the money this winter. And then maybe you trade him this winter. Fine. You can't trade him. I'm sorry that they ruined your master plan by winning over the last 2 weeks, but they did. So suck it up and pay up. I don't know what to tell you. Pay up.
Yeah. I mean, like there is a finite amount of prospects I'd be willing to trade Paul Seawald for. And I'm talking about like if the Orioles were like, hey, here's Jackson Holiday. Okay, yeah, sure.
I mean,
yeah, obviously. But that's obviously not happening. But
right.
Yeah, like Curtis Mead, maybe. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not Hessen Kierstad. Maybe Kauser or Westberg or one of those guys, but that feels like something that I could just do in the winter potentially. So, and also like, do the Orioles really like? They have Cano, they have Bautista. Do they really
need starting pitching more than they need bullpen?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody needs bullpen help, but
right,
starting pitching, and we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
So,
I think they were one of the teams that were in on Jordan Hicks. I can't remember.
Yep.
So there were a few teams that were in on Jordan Hicks.
Yeah. By the way, the what the Cardinals got for Jordan Hicks, Seawald should get you double.
Yeah, for sure.
Seawald's better than Hicks. Fact. Like I'm not here
he's under more club control.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
I'm not here to debate this with you guys. Paul Seawald is better than Jordan Hicks. So trading him for anything less than
Jordan Hicks strikes out more guys. Wow. He also was walking like almost 6 guys per 9.
Oh, cool. Like, awesome. Yeah. Love that guy. So if you trade Paul Seawald for anything less than double what Hicks just went for, let's just say Tuesday has the potential to be a very uncomfortable show.
Every show is uncomfortable.
Good point. Touche.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for our show. Unless there's anything else you would like to add. You
not that I can get done in a reasonable time period. So
yeah, you got to save up all that energy for the next 2 days anyway. So we are doing a mailbag tomorrow. Well, we'll see. But for now, the plan is a mailbag.
Sure.
Something happens in the morning or tonight. Well, if it happens tonight, we're probably getting back on here and recording. But something happens tomorrow morning, it'll be about that. But if not, mailbag, send us your questions over on Twitter. We'll put out a tweet in a little bit. And all right. Again, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, at CANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well over at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen. Again, you can catch the Mariners and the Red Sox tomorrow on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace. Do something, Jerry.